everyone. Welcome back to Nails Before Films. It's finally Halloween. Woohoo! This should have been my last day doing the nails, but because I'm new to doing YouTube and kind of suck at it, I'm behind schedule, so I still have 4 nails to go. Oh well, it's not like I'm a big YouTuber. Nobody will care if I'm not on schedule. Anyway, since it's Halloween, of course I'm doing the boogeyman himself, the shape of Halloween, Mr. Michael Myers, everyone. Now the Halloween franchise holds a special place in my heart because it's what really got me into horror films. Now you might ask, didn't you say Saw is what got you into horror? Like I said in my Saw video, I don't really consider Saw as horror. Also, after watching The Shining, It, and the first 4 Saw movies, I stopped watching horror for 3 whole years. I never became a horror fan after these films, but I did after I watched Halloween in 2020. Because I didn't consider the films I watched to be horror, I still thought I was scared of horror movies and avoided. However, in 2020, I saw some cute fan art of Jason and Michael, which sparked my interest in the films. I was a bit scared to watch them because I thought they must be scary since they were so famous. I wasn't going to watch them, but it just so happened that our public library granted access to an app that had many comics and some movies, and Halloween was on there. So, since I could watch it for free, legally, I decided to finally grow a backbone and watch it. My thoughts after watching it was, that was it. That wasn't scary at all. Unlike The Shining, which I found to be scary days after, I was completely fine with Halloween. It just wasn't scary in my opinion. But I liked the film. It was very fun to watch, and that led me to binge watch horror movies. I watched one every day for the next few months and finished all the major slasher franchises. I finally discovered how awesome horror was, and that's why I'm doing this right now. So Halloween is really what introduced me to the fun of horror movies, and Friday the 13th is the one that cemented my love for the genre. Both are equally important to me because I ship Michael and Jason with every fabric of my being. They're just so perfect together. It's the definition of adorable. Call me weird if you want, but you cannot take away my love for Margis. They belong with each other. Anyway, enough about my obsession with Jason/Michael. Let's actually talk about Halloween. Originally intended as an anthology series, the franchise became focused on Michael Myers. Michael killed his sister when he was a kid and got sent to a mental hospital. He escapes on Halloween and returns to kill again. He kills some teenagers and is defeated by Dr. Loomis when he attacks our final girl, Laurie. We learned that Laurie is Michael's little sister in the next movie. He tries to kill her in the hospital, but is stopped again. After Laurie shoots him and Loomis blows up the room, Michael is presumed dead. The next movie, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, is completely unrelated to Michael Myers. It's about an evil businessman who wants to kill kids with Halloween masks. It involves androids, the Stonehenge, and ancient rituals. It's super weird. After the 3rd movie bombed, it was clear that the franchise needed Michael, so we got Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. We continue from Halloween 2, but Laurie is now dead and leaves behind her daughter, Jamie. Both Michael and Loomis survived the explosion, and Michael again escaped on Halloween, this time to kill his niece. He is stopped again, and the movie ends with Jamie attacking her foster mom. In the next movie, The Revenge of Michael Myers, Michael comes back a year later to kill Jamie again. He kills a bunch of cops and teenagers, and after using Jamie as bait, Loomis captures the shape. Now comes the stupid part. A man in black shoots up the police station where they keep Michael, allowing him to escape. It isn't explained at all who he is. It's just dumb. The next one, The Curse of Michael Myers, got even worse. Apparently, Jamie and Michael were abducted by the man in black. Jamie gets pregnant and gives birth. She escapes with her child, but is killed by Michael. The child is discovered by Tommy, the little boy Laurie babysat in the original. Our final girl, Kara, her son and the baby, gets abducted by the cult that made Michael evil. Tommy saves Kara, and they escape with the kids. Loomis stays behind to finish Michael off. He's presumably killed by Michael at the end of the movie. The next one, age 20, completely ignores the previous films and continues directly from Halloween 2. Michael is presumed dead after the hospital explosion, and after 20 years, Laurie now has a son and works as the head mistress of a private school. Michael again tries to kill her, but she eventually decapitates him. But in the Max movie, Halloween Resurrection, it turns out that Laurie decapitated a medic who had Michael's mask on. Now admitted to a sanitarium, Laurie tries to defeat Michael but fails, and Michael kills her. A year later, some stupid internet show decides to film some students exploring the Myers house. They all get killed except the final girl Sarah and Busta Rhymes. Next, we have the Rob Zombie remake, which gives Michael a bullied/abused backstory. He kills a bunch of people when he was a kid, sparing only his baby sister and his mom. He gets admitted to Smithsgrove again, and the rest is similar. The baby is adopted and named Laurie Strode. Michael kills a bunch of people and takes her. Laurie ends up shooting Michael, seemingly killing him. In the sequel, Laurie finds out she's Michael's sister, and somehow they see their mom's ghost. Michael kills a bunch of people, and Laurie kills him but goes insane herself. Next is Halloween 2018, which ignores everything and is a direct sequel to the original. Laurie is no longer Michael's sister. She's all within daughter and granddaughter. She becomes a survivalist after being attacked by Michael, who escapes again. He kills a bunch of people and ends up fighting Laurie again, who traps in her house and sets it on fire. Next is Halloween Kills. Michael survives the fire, and the town forms a mob to kill him. Their fear and anger lead them to kill innocent people. Laurie's daughter leads Michael to the mob, who seemingly kills him. But Michael is of course not dead and kills the mob, including Laurie's daughter. The final movie is Halloween Ends. Gosh, I hate that movie. For some reason, Michael Myers disappeared, and the next Halloween, a guy named Corey accidentally killed a kid. Another 3 years pass, and Laurie lives a normal life now for whatever reason. Corey is bullied by most people and develops a relationship with Laurie's granddaughter, Allison. He eventually becomes like Michael and kills people. When Laurie finds out and tries to stop him, he tricks Allison into thinking that Laurie killed him. Michael freaking Myers finally shows up and kills Corey. He and Laurie have their final fight and Laurie wins. She disposes of his body into the scrapyard shredder in front of the whole town, finally ridding Haddonfield of the shape. Now for my thoughts on each film. Of course I like the first two, even though I don't find them scary. I love Michael Myers and how he's just evil. He doesn't have a tragic backstory, and I don't think he needs one. It's terrifying that a random evil person is just out there. That's the whole point of the original Halloween and why Michael is the boogeyman. I understand why they made Laurie Michael's sister in the second film, and I think it's fine. Out of all the protagonists, Laurie is without a doubt the most iconic and definitely Michael's number one arch enemy, with Dr. Loomis as number 2. The two's battle with Michael in the first two movies is, as Kung Fu Panda would say, legendary. Also, while I don't find the film scary, I do think they successfully create an eerie, uneasy atmosphere and keep the audience on their toes. The first Halloween deserved to be a horror icon, and the second film is a very satisfying sequel. Next, I actually like Halloween 3, despite the movie having nothing to do with Michael Myers. It's a weird, wacky, fun to watch movie. There are a lot of sci-fi and supernatural elements in this movie and has a different atmosphere than the previous two. I absolutely love how different it is from the dark, gritty Halloween films. Don't get me wrong, it's still terrible how an evil corporation tries to kill kids brutally by rotting their brains with Halloween masks and TV commercials, but the movie is just so comedic in its own twisted way. I understand why people weren't happy when it came out that it wasn't about Michael Myers. I probably would be too if I watched it back in 1982, but because I watched it in 2020 and already knew it wasn't about Michael, I was totally fine with it and judged the movie as its own thing instead of a sequel. Next, the Thorn trilogy. It started out promising. I really like Jamie. Danielle Harris was an amazing child actor. I also love her family. Rachel is a great big sister who really protects Jamie despite them not being related. This movie is also the first film where we see the mob mentality in Haddonfield, which is an interesting concept. It's fascinating to see that Michael really terrorized the whole town and they grouped together to hunt him. This doesn't really happen in the other major franchises. For Friday and Texas Chainsaw, the murders happen in a remote location, so there are no people to form a mob. For Nightmare, the guy kills people in their sleep, so forming a mob wouldn't help. And for Scream, the killers are always killed at the end of the movie, so they don't really need to form a mob. However, they killed off Rachel in 5 and replaced her with her friend Tina. Tina is a nice girl, I guess. She sacrifices herself to save Jamie, which sort of redeems the character for me. But otherwise, she's pretty bland. The Man in Black thing is just dumb. The best part of this film is Loomis using Jamie as bait to lure Michael. He grabs Jamie and is like, "You want this little girl? Come get her!" While Jamie screams and cries in his arms. It's hilarious. I love Loomis so much. The good doctor getting crazier and crazier with each movie is just so funny. The last movie is just hot garbage in my opinion. The theatrical cut makes no sense. The cold plot goes nowhere, and Danielle Harris is gone. Listen, I like Paul Rudd, but his character in this movie is just bad. The acting is weird, and he's just a creep in general. I'm kind of sad that this is the last film with Donald Pleasence. He deserves to go out with a bigger bang. I haven't watched the producer's cut, but I looked up the difference. It seems more coherent story-wise, but the whole thing still looks like a mess. I also don't like how Michael is the father of Jamie's baby, which means he raped his niece. As I complained in my Jason video, I hate it when they imply the slashers also rape people. It's out of character and just gross. Please just stick to killing people. Overall, the Thorn trilogy is weird. I don't like it. I don't like the cold backstory they try to do. I'm okay with Michael being evil for no apparent reason. The only good things are Danielle Harris's Jamie and Dr. Loomis. Next, X20 and Resurrection. I like X20 a lot. It's a back to basics Halloween movie after the mess of the Thorn trilogy. Laurie returns and we get to see how her life is affected by Michael even after 20 years. The movie gives us a good closure as Laurie beheads Michael in the end, but that great ending is ruined by Resurrection. Resurrection not only made Laurie kill the wrong person, but she was dead at the beginning of the movie, and the plot became focused on a stupid internet show. Look, I think the webcam scene is interesting and quite ahead of its time. The movie came out in 2002, so the concept must be fairly new at the time, I imagine. But it's just that they gave up the perfectly good ending of H20 for this generic excuse of a horror movie. I appreciate they tried to do something different, and the live stream idea is cool, but I can't like it too much because they basically ruined H20. Busta Rhymes is cool in the film. The part where he comes back and does kung fu is kind of funny. I really feel like I would like Resurrection a lot more as a bad comedic horror film like Jason X if it's not the sequel of H20. But sadly it is, and it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Next, the Rob Zombie remakes. They're okay, not terrible, but I don't particularly like Michael's backstory and the weird thing about his mom and a white horse. Like I said, I think one of the reasons why Michael is scary is because he has no reason to be evil, but somehow he is. The remake takes that mystery out and tells you exactly why he's evil. It's unnecessary in my opinion, but I understand why they did it, so whatever. It's a remake, so it's fine they changed or added some things. This Laurie is likable. I like how she's less uptight than the original. It's a nice change. But the second movie is just weird. I get that they want to do something new, but the stuff with the white horse is just what the fudge. Despite being different, it's forgettable and just kind of boring. Oh, and they made Loomis an inconsiderate asshole in this movie who wrote a book and exposed Laurie's identity. I don't really like that change, but it's a remake. Whatever. Overall, the remakes are fine. I appreciate they trying something new and using God of Thunder in the first film. It's a great song. But they're just not as memorable and could be a bit bland at times. Lastly, the most recent trilogy. The most disappointing, in my opinion, Halloween 2018 was amazing. It's a back to the basics like age 20. It continues directly from the original and discards the brother-sister thing between Michael and Laurie. I actually like that, and it shows that random terrible things can happen to all of us. Like age 20, it has a satisfying ending of Laurie defeating Michael with her daughter and granddaughter. However, they don't know when to quit and make another 2 movies. Halloween Kills is not good, but at least enjoyably so. Although the evil dies tonight thing is stupid, I do like the exploration of the mob mentality. However, I think they take it too far and make most Haddonfield residents look like idiots. Like, how the heck do you not realize the person you're chasing is not Michael? Since when is Michael a short, chubby, bald old guy? I know they're trying to say that fear makes people unreasonable, but that's just incredibly stupid. It still has to be believable, or else the audience is just going to roll their eyes. But at least Halloween Kills is entertainingly bad. We get to see Michael on a killing rampage, which is something people expect when they go into a Halloween movie. However, for some reason, the next movie does not understand this at all. Finally, it's time for me to talk about Halloween Ends, a movie that I actually watched in the theater last year. I freaking hate this movie so much, it pisses me off. In the last movie, Michael kills a bunch of people and Laurie's daughter, with the movie ending with Laurie claiming that she's coming for Michael. Yet, Michael freaking Myers is barely in Halloween Ends. He's absent for the first half of the movie for some reason, and for some reason it's weak as fudge. Why? It makes no freaking sense. They keep saying Michael gets stronger with each kill, and we literally saw him kill dozens of people in the last movie. So shouldn't he be the strongest he's ever been? No, he's weaker than a normal guy who gets beat up by marching band kids. And he freaking lives in the sewer for 4 years. Why? The movie doesn't explain at all. My guess would be because of Corey's incident, people turn their attention to that and forget about Michael. If that's the case, that doesn't make any freaking sense. Why would people be less scared of Michael because of that? And I hate how Michael just disappears after the massacre at the end of Kills. Why did he just vanish? Don't tell me it's because he only kills on Halloween, so once it's November, he just buggers off. That makes no sense. In all of the previous movies, no matter how bad they are, they usually have an explanation for Michael's absence. In 4, it's because he's injured from the explosion at the end of 2. In 5, it's because he's injured from being fired upon at the end of 4. In 6, it's because he's being taken away by the cult. In age 20, it's the Halloween 2 explosion injury. Resurrection is a bit ambiguous, but it's most likely because of the injury at the end of age 20, which was severe enough to make people believe he was dead at the time. In 2018, it's because he's being institutionalized. But why did he disappear after the events of Kill, especially when he seemed perfectly strong and healthy? No idea. I'll tell you the real reason why he conveniently disappears. It's so that the movie can focus on freaking Corey. Yes, they wrote Michael Myers out of the freaking story so they could focus on their own OC. You cannot convince me otherwise because there is no freaking reason why Michael should be weak and absent after Kills. They did it completely to make the story about Corey. That's one of the main reasons I hate this movie so much. They ignore the logic and the things they built up in the previous films just so they could shove their own character into the story. Michael Myers isn't the only character who doesn't make sense. Laurie freaking Strode is written poorly as well. After saying she's coming after Michael at the end of Kills, she does anything but that. For some reason, she pretends everything is fine and lives a relatively normal life, which makes no sense when Michael Myers is never caught. She should be even more determined to kill Michael and protect her loved ones after the death of her daughter. Yet she acts as if everything is fine. Why? I've seen some people defending this by saying, actually, it makes a lot of sense because Laurie finally learns that she shouldn't live in fear and should spend more time with her family. Hello? Did you forget that she literally says she's coming for Michael at the end of Kills? And that argument would make more sense if Michael is actually caught, so she decides to do things differently this time. Yet she just pretends that Michael isn't out there anymore. Why? I get it that people like that Laurie gets to be a more positive person in this movie, kind of like her original self, but you have to acknowledge that the transition makes no sense. It's fine if you're like, yeah, it doesn't make sense, but I like it. But stop defending this as good writing. It's not. It's terrible. They did it only because they didn't want Ends to be a Michael versus Laurie movie. They wanted it to be a love story between Allison and Corey. That leads to the biggest complaint I have about the film, the marketing. Everything. The trailers, the posters, literally everything led the audience to believe that this movie would be mostly about Michael and Laurie. They marketed it as the final showdown, which only happened in the last 10 minutes. Most of the movie is about Corey, a character who appears out of nowhere and we're supposed to care about him more than Laurie. Look, I don't hate Corey and I don't hate his storyline. It's something that could have been interesting. My main problem is that we were fooled into watching this movie thinking that it would be mostly about Michael and Laurie, yet ended up with a character we knew nothing about. Some people will argue that marketing doesn't work that way. If they advertise it with the focus being Corey, no one will go watch it. Well, have you heard of false advertising? Something that's illegal? I know that this happens a lot with movie trailers, but that doesn't make it any less scummy. Besides, you advertised it as a Michael versus Laurie movie, meaning that you knew people wanted to watch that. So if you wanted us to pay for Halloween Ends, shouldn't you make the movie people actually wanted to watch? It's just so scummy that they knew what people wanted and advertised it as such when they knew perfectly well what the movie was actually about. I hate it. I don't know if any of the previous movies did that. They probably did. And if they really did, I wouldn't like them at the time as well. It's even more annoying that the director said they never plan on making a Michael versus Laurie movie, that it never crossed their minds. I know that he probably had no control over the marketing, but it's irresponsible of him to ignore the false advertising and act like fans shouldn't have that expectation in the first place. Also, he said something like he just built his dream house on this real estate using this title and these characters and is completely unapologetic about it. My problem with that statement is, yes, it's okay to build your dream house with an established property. That's fine. But the issue is you are trying to sell that house, or the company is. So it should be a house your customers want to buy. Yet in this case, you built a house you love, but knowing that people won't pay for it, you guys disguised the exterior to be most customers' dream house. Only after buying it and going inside, do the customer realize it's not the house they paid for. That's the big difference. If you're just doing a movie for yourself and doesn't care about the box office, then it's fine. But in this case, you guys still want the money, so you should have made something people actually want to watch. I'm so sick and tired of the freaking ego of these people. Yes, it's fine to do what you want, but be honest about it. Don't trick people into paying for it. But of course, that will never happen because Hollywood is full of egotistical filmmakers who think they know best and greedy corporations who will lie and cheat for money. Again, I know the director probably has no control over the marketing, but to ignore people's complaints about being led on is just as terrible. Also, this is the last movie of your trilogy. People expect answers. Yet we follow a new character for most of the movie, and the final fight feels like it's there because it had to be. I seriously don't understand how this comes from the same guy who did Halloween 2018. Or maybe he's like, I gave you guys a good Halloween movie. That means I can do whatever I want this time. I also see people defending this film by saying how Michael doesn't have much screen time in the original, or the final fight of age 20 is short too. Here's the difference. The first movie deliberately limits Michael's appearance to generate suspense, whereas in Ants, they just straight up ignore him. In age 20, the movie builds up to the fight in the end, and Michael is still the main source of horror. But in Ants, it's just, they're in the same house now, so they're gonna fight. It's completely different, and I don't understand why you people think it's the same. And I hate how people are like, you horror fans are hypocrites. You complain about the lack of originality, yet whine when someone tries something different. Like I said, the main problem is the false advertising. I would be much more accepting if I went in knowing that the movie would be about Corey. I don't even hate Corey. So stop saying that fans just can't handle originality. I can't believe I ranted about Halloween Ends for 10 minutes. Maybe I'm extra pissed because I was so excited for this film. It was the first time I got to watch a major horror franchise in theater, so I really wanted it to be good. Especially because I liked 2018 and Kills. I was confident that this one would be good too. Instead, I got a movie that was completely disconnected from the previous ones and made no sense. Maybe after 10 or 20 years, I would find the movie to be okay, but as of now, I'm still not over the scummy advertising, which is my main issue. Despite the fact that I had nothing good to say about Halloween Ends, I don't consider it to be the worst Halloween movie. Also, at least it's not disrespectful, I guess, unlike some other franchises. Cough, Lucasfilm cough. However, I have mixed feelings toward any more movies at this moment. I don't want Ends to be the franchise's definite end, but I don't really want another movie either. I guess Ends just drained my enthusiasm for Halloween, and I don't really want a new one unless they have an amazing idea. In the end, I just want to say that the franchise as a whole is still awesome and iconic. I love it and think very highly of it, even with all the terrible entries. After all, without Halloween, there will be no Friday the 13th. Besides, Jason and Michael will forever be my OTP, so there's no way I can dislike either franchise. This video went on for way too long. Thanks for actually finishing it. Hope you guys like the nails. As always, like, subscribe, comment, share, do what you want. Keep nailing it, and remember, it's Halloween. Everyone's entitled to one good scare, people.